What's going on, everybody? Almost Counts Collectibles here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at all of Wave 1 of the evil space aliens in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition toy line. Now, we already took a look at Rita in our first review video with some of the Automorphin Rangers. We'll take another quick look at her, but we're going to mainly be looking at the Putty Patroller and Goldar, which we were finally able to get our hands on. Now, I actually had to buy these from the United Kingdom, and I had them shipped here because I don't think anywhere in the States anyways has actually received, as far as retail-wise, these other two villains. I'm not sure why that is. I know there's some in Canada, I think, being sold as well. So I had to order mine. Now, I did pay just a little over $20 each for these to get them, but that really wasn't bad. That's pretty much the retail price plus shipping. So I went ahead and got my hands on them just so we can take a look at them. The first one I want to take a look at is Goldar. Now, I have noticed with Goldar and the Putty Patroller, I don't know if this is because this is a UK release, but the card is actually different on these. You will notice that the top of the card extends over further in comparison to Rita. Well, I don't know if it's further. Actually, might be pretty close. Let's see. Yeah, it definitely extends over further. It basically encompasses the entirety of the area around the hanger portion. Instead of having the little hook like Rita has back here, it has the top extend all the way over further, and then it just gives you the cutout for the hanger that's totally encased all the way around. Now, the Putty Patroller is just like Goldar. So I don't know if these will be the same way with the ones that are going to be released in the States. I don't know if, like I said, this is a difference because of the region they're released in, or if Goldar and the Putty Patroller are just going to be different from Rita's card. But just a little observation. Everything else, for the most part, pretty much looks to be the same. You've got the picture kind of the motion that the figure does. You've got the name down here, the card and everything, like I said, other than the hanger portion. It all looks pretty much identical. It says what it does over here in the corner as well, wing flapping action. So Goldar's wings supposedly flap when you squeeze his legs together. So you can see those flap. That's cool. I'm really interested to see the articulation. It actually looks like Goldar's knees have articulation. His arms look like they have the same articulation that Rita has, and that is awesome. The sword looks good. The back here, you can see we've got Goldar there, and then the little details if you want to read them. Sidekick, Putty Patroller, personality, loyal henchman. I think that should have said something more along the lines of a general and a leader, but anyways. Down here you can see the three villains in what I'm calling Wave 1. I don't think that's actually been officially stated, but it looks like these are the only villains we're getting right now. So let's go ahead and get Goldar out of this packaging and take a look. All right, real quick, much like all of the other stuff, Goldar is kind of fixed in place with a bunch of these little transparent clear ties. So we're gonna have to take these off real quick. All right, and here we have Goldar out of the packaging. And I must say, I mean, it is pretty obvious that Goldar is missing some of his paint applications. But overall, especially the face, I think Goldar looks pretty good. I want to try out this action. So you just squeeze the legs together here. All right, and his wings go up and down. I don't mind that. I don't really care for the little actions. I would have been fine without them. But all the original villains in the original toy line had the little actions in some way, shape, or form. And I really don't mind that they did that. His shoulder pauldrons right here actually rotate up and down, which is nice that they're not affixed because it gives his arms a little bit more movement. Now his arms here at the shoulder, I mean, they can twist all the way up. Let's see how far we can get it here without damaging anything. All right, it'll go up pretty far with the shoulder pauldron right here. Spins all the way around as well. We have some almost a 90 degree, a little less than 90 in the elbow here. Full wrist spin all the way around, articulation there. I like that. I love the mobility in the arms. I'm glad that's not just a fixed arm that goes up and down. Like the Automorphin Rangers, I mean, it's crazy that these little villains have way more articulation than the Automorphin Rangers had. Let's see. Oh, that was kind of deceiving. I thought from the side, looking in at the packaging, it looked like the leg here at the knee actually had some articulation, but that is just a mold to make it look that way. The leg actually doesn't move. Actually, you know, it really wouldn't have made that much of a difference. I mean, if his knee did have articulation and it could have moved back a little bit, what would that have really have done for the figure without the hips being able to move forward or anything like that? I'm okay with it. Yeah, I mean, and you also don't really need any movement in the foot. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's not going to hurt my opinion of Goldar here. We do have plenty of articulation in the arms, more than we got with the original figures anyway, for a little bit better posability. He stands up just fine. I think he looks good. Let's take a look at the sword here. Pretty basic. It does have the center part colored in red there. The sword looks fine. I mean, the mold is good. Goes in and out of the hand very easily. These paint apps obviously can be fixed, which I will do. I'm assuming that this effect is for his sword because it looks like it is. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like Goldar. Let's go ahead and compare Goldar to the original Goldar. Now, I'm going to show real quick. I actually have a couple. Well, I have many of these. But I have two of these on my shelf. So this one I have displayed with my Power Rangers the movie shelf. And this one I have with just the original Wave 2 or Series 2 of the original villains. Now, as you will probably notice, this middle Goldar has like a completely different paint job on it. The gold is a different color. The arms, I mean, even the black and everything is very glossy, very bright. This Goldar over here is very dull. Now, I don't know if that was because they were different releases and maybe this was the second release of Goldar that was released in kind of like the Wave 3 with Master Vile in them, because he was re-released. He was even re-released in the Zeo line. Or hold on. Was he re-released with Master Vile in them? I can't remember if he was released in Wave 3. I'd have to go over and check on my shelf. I know he was re-released in the Zeo line for sure because I can see it over there and I remember it. And then in the initial Wave 2 release, maybe it was just Zed that was re-released in the Wave 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so I don't know if that's really the difference here. The reason I point this out is because with overall appearance and the actual color of the brown, he actually isn't far off from this Goldar right here. But as I said, it's very noticeable with this Goldar that he's very shiny gold. So just for comparison's sake, I'm going to compare him with this other Goldar. This one right here. They're both the kind of, you know, spinning at the hip, slashing action. This one's the same way. The arm comes down and slashes the sword. So instead of sword slashing, we get wing flapping, which I'm fine with. So here's the sword. Let's go ahead and compare those. They're pretty similar. The new one's actually a little bit longer. The blade is a little bit skinnier. Yeah, I mean, I like the new one. I think it's going to look better painted. But there are the sword comparisons. As far as paint applications go, the original Goldar had a little bit more paint apps. the little fangs or claws or what have you right here were painted white. These, I don't know if it looks like they attempted to do that. No, they didn't. That just didn't fully paint it all in the gray color, but we're going to paint those white. We're going to paint some of the gems and stuff like that on his armor. Just a few things like that, just to give it that little bit of, you know, that extra pop. But as you can see right here with the comparisons, the face on the new Goldar and his head armor and everything, I think look much better than the original Goldar. The original Goldar is a little bit more beefy. He's a little more thick. It would have been cool if these wings would actually pop off too. I doubt that they do, considering how this thing works. I mean, if you really wanted to, I'm sure you could snap these off. But that would have been cool if the wings came off. But yeah, here we have Goldar. I think he looks good. Like I said, the original Goldar, very limited in the arm movement. It's just right there at the shoulder, went up and down, and the other one was a part of the slashing action. So you really didn't have much in the way of posability at all. His legs also were pretty solid all the way down. There was a tiny bit of movement here at the hips, but not much at all. So a much bigger improvement, I think, in overall look and in articulation from the original Goldar figure. They're about the same size in height. I think, even though this one is a little bit thicker, I think the height is pretty much exact. And I guess it would depend on how far apart you kind of put his legs. But I think they are pretty close to exact in the height scale. All right, let's set Goldar aside. We'll compare with some Rangers and other stuff here in a minute. But I do like Goldar. All right, next, let's check out the Putty Patroller. Okay, so once again, the packaging is very similar. The Putty Patroller is like Goldar with the extension right here at the top. Like I said, I don't know if that's because of the regional release. If all of them will look that way, I'm not sure why they're different. Putty Patroller, his kind of like try me window is right here in the back. And what he does is his head kind of spins around and goes up. But I think the Putty Patroller looks amazing. I do like Goldar, like I said. This villain line is one of the things that I was most looking forward to with the Playmates Power Rangers toys. They're like the only thing from the start, from the reveal, that I really thought looked cool and I really wanted to get my hands on. I've been surprised by a few other things in the toy line. I'm kind of 50-50. Half the stuff I don't really like. The other half of the stuff I kind of do like. But these are one of those things that I really like. I think they did a great job on these. This putty is really going to have to disappoint me when I take it out of this packaging for me to change my mind on that. But yeah, there's the back. Martial artist, loyal henchman. Okay, that makes sense. Weapons, clay hands, sidekick, more Putty Patrollers. All right, let's go ahead and get the Putty Patroller out and take a look. All right, guys, here we go. We have the Putty Patroller, and this thing looks amazing. I mean, they really nailed the Putty Patroller look here with these things. The face, the hands, the bodies, I think everything just looks really good on these. The little action, I mean, as silly as it is with their heads spinning up and down, it works really well. It's smooth, it's easy to do, and that frees up the Putty Patroller to have a really amazing range of articulation. It actually has kind of like the 45 degree angle peg in there on like a ball joint for the hip. For these, like, oh my gosh. See, that is crazy to me. If the 5-inch basic figure line would have had this kind of hip articulation, these figures would have been dang near perfect in my book. I mean, look at this articulation. We've got the shoulder here spins all the way. It also has, I mean, way past 90 degrees right there to go all the way up, around, up and down. It spins at the hands. The hands actually pop off, right? Look, they pop off. They have a nice system here to easily pop off and put these weapons on. So they have the big kind of like clay ball, and then they have the clay little blade, the little sword right here. For weapons, those come off very easily and they stay on pretty snug. And then we got like the 90 degree right here in the elbow. The head obviously twists all the way up and down with the little action feature. Yeah, these hip joints right here are what's really impressing me, because you can spin the leg all the way around. You can take it up to a pretty good degree. The knee spins. You've got that a little over 90 degree bend. No ankle articulation, but like I said, you really don't need that. Man, these things are awesome. They look awesome. Articulation is great. The little feature is cool. The hands pop on and off really well. They absolutely nailed these Putty Patrollers. I mean, they look amazing. They scale pretty much perfectly with the basic figure line. Let's take a look at Goldar here. Yep, they are pretty much exactly the same size, which they should be. Let's take a look at... So right here we have one of the original Putty Patrollers. Now these Putty Patrollers came with a few different weapons as well. They had a little axe. And they also had, where is it? All right, right here it is. One of these little kind of like maces, if you will. But these were the Season 2 putties, obviously Zed's putties. The super putties, and when you hit this little center button, their head and their arms actually fly off. Just like so. And that was really cool, because that's kind of what they did in the show. When they would hit it, you know, their limbs and heads and everything would kind of explode off when they got defeated. And we're back together. But as you can see, the articulation on these putties was very limited. Their legs moved right here at the hips. They actually look to have pretty much the same hip articulation kind of design as these new putties do, only the new ones have a little bit wider range of motion, I think. So that's cool, but obviously the arms, you know, they're very limited. They do go up and down at the angle they are, but that's it. The articulation on these putties kind of, you know, blows everything else away. Even the Rangers, especially the Automorphin Rangers, which are horribly limited in their articulation. As far as like height, as far as overall build, now these stand with their legs a little bit further apart. So if they were together, these would be about the same size. These scale really well with all of these original villains. The look of these, the articulation, the scaling with not only the original stuff, but they scale really well with these basic figures. And these right here, I think, are much more fun to play with, and they look 10 times better than the Automorphin Rangers. These villains are just really impressing me. Here's my open Rita. I bought this one for my sealed collection, but this is the Rita that we opened and reviewed in the other videos. But as you can see here, they blend in amazingly. Not only in size, but I mean just like an overall look. These mesh really well with the original figure line. And I'm telling you, like, I want a little army of these putties. The Goldar looks great. I mean, I like the original Goldar, but, you know, he is kind of really big and beefy and limited in articulation. I think this Goldar is a little bit better, and it still blends in really well with some of these older villains. And here we have our original Automorphin Rangers, which I love, which are my all-time favorite Power Ranger figures, and everything just looks great together. It all scales really well together. Everything's pretty much the same size. It blends in with that, the look. They're just amazing. They really are. This is the best part of the Playmates line so far, in my opinion. Now, I am really high on these basic figures. I think they're great. I know there's a lot of people that are bashing them and think that, you know, I've seen the comments that they, you know, it was lazy, the paint apps weren't great. I did add a few paint apps to these. These aren't what they look like out of the box, but I really didn't have to do much. And if I didn't do that at all, I still think they would have looked good. I mean, you can even take Green Ranger's shield off. I just think that they're really nice. They're really nice figures. I would have loved to have had these basic figures when I was a kid. Don't get me wrong, I loved the Automorphin Rangers, but for that playability and overall look and everything like that, these basic figures are nice figures, especially for the price. I mean, this stuff just looks really good. They are really doing a good job here with these figures and these villains. I cannot wait to get Babu, Squat, King Sphinx. I hope we get a Finster. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, but one thing I will say though, guys, is I don't know how well this toy line is performing so far. I know it's still early. I know a lot of the stuff isn't even released yet that was advertised, but some of the things I'm seeing aren't good. My local Walmart, for example, I mean, these toys have been out for what, over a month now? And I'll throw up the picture right here. We were just there the other day, and it looks like not a single thing has sold other than maybe like one action figure. And I'm seeing pictures all over the place of a lot of Walmarts already clearancing out these toys for over 50% off. Now, I know some of that might have to do with the fact that for some reason, I think that maybe these stores got these a little earlier than they were supposed to. I'm not going to say that for sure. I don't know if they're already scheduled to get a lot more toy shipments for the Christmas season coming up. So now they have to make room for things. And some of the stuff that's been sitting and not moving very well is getting clearanced. I don't know how these are getting clearanced this quickly. I saw stuff getting clearanced before my Walmart even had these for 2 weeks. But when things are getting clearanced for over 50% off, and when some stores look like they haven't sold a single one of these action figures, now I'm sure there's some stores out there that barely have anything left. But I think the initial wave of all of these sales are from two different groups. The group that are the lifelong Power Ranger fans that love Power Rangers, collect Power Rangers, obviously we're buying some of this stuff up. And then the other group is the scalpers and resellers and people who know that Power Ranger stuff goes up in value and it doesn't stay on the shelf very long in terms of, you know, you can't go to the store and find Lightning Collection stuff, and that's just within the last few years that kind of quit. So I think a lot of these sales, and you can already see it, people are selling all this stuff on eBay, Mercari, especially some of the Zords, Green Ranger, for 2, 3, 4 times retail price already. And these things already, you know, just came out, which you're going to have that with just about anything. But I think once this initial wave of Power Ranger fans buy what they want, I don't think, like I said, I still don't think kids are the ones going to the store, begging for these toys, picking these toys over anything else as what they want. The people buying this stuff are the people that already liked Power Rangers. You know, the parents that grew up with Power Rangers. I have seen a couple times, the first time I was in there when I saw these toys, there was a parent that walked by and was like, oh, look, Power Rangers, like trying to show it to their kids, trying to convince their kids wanted nothing to do with it. Because they didn't grow up with this. They don't really know what this is. They probably haven't seen it on TV. So, you know, who's to say? I really hope it lasts long enough for us to at least get a season or 2 of stuff out of it. I would really like to see a Dragon Zord. I don't know if we're going to get a Dragon Zord, to be honest with you. I haven't done my Megazord review yet. I've got them sitting right over here beside me. But if we get a Dragon Zord, that thing's going to be huge. This Megazord is huge. It's over like 15 inches tall, I think, when it's put together. And then that kind of begs the question, are we going to get a Titanus? I mean, Titanus is the carrier Zord to make Ultra Zord. It's also appeared in multiple seasons. It's also the Ultra Zord for Season 3, which they're supposed to be doing toys for. But that Titanus would be one of the biggest Zords probably they've ever made in order to house, Megazord and ultimately what's going to be a very large Dragon Zord. I don't know. It'd be cool if we see it. I don't know if we will, but, who's to say? But these villains right here, I really want to highlight because these are worth your money. I'm very honest about my review of things as a Power Ranger fan, and I also have 3 kids that look at this stuff, play with this stuff, give me their opinions on this stuff. Nothing against anybody else. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I'm probably one of the few reviewers that actually has a house full of children in the age group that this stuff is aimed at. I'm also getting their feedback and their opinions, and they obviously play with a lot of this stuff. They have all the other stuff, like they're pretty well versed in Power Rangers and things like that, so they can give me a pretty honest feedback about what they genuinely like and don't like about something and why and stuff like that. And pretty much on par with everything that I've thought. They didn't care for the Morpher. They did not like the Morpher at all. But then again, they have other Morphers. They still like the original Morpher over this Playmates Morpher. And I know the It's Made for Kids army is about to come out and attack me like they always do, but that stuff was only made for kids. When the original Power Ranger stuff came out, there were no adult fans really. Like, that stuff was brand new. That stuff was ultimately and completely made for children, but it was good stuff. It was so good, in fact, they actually used it in the television series. So the made for kids excuse never works on me. Kids deserve quality too. Kids deserve things that work, that function well, that look okay. I'm not expecting ultra realistic titanium metal like Morphers. I wasn't expecting that at all. But the Morpher, the red battle bike, the Automorphin Rangers, like that, it just wasn't good. Like, we didn't like it, my kids included. The basic figures, my kids actually like. They both want their own set now, and they have the Lightning Collection figures. They've broken a few of their Lightning Collection figures, and it kind of upsets them when they do that, not because, they get punished really for it, because they are pretty careful with their toys, but they know that those toys aren't cheap. So when they break one of those, they're kind of like, they get pretty upset about it. But, these are about half the price of a Lightning Collection figure, and they still look really good, and they're pretty decently posable for what they are. So after playing with these for a little bit, 2 of my kids actually want their own set of these now. That's what they're asking for their birthdays. The villains too. They really liked Rita. They thought she looked cool. We don't have many Ritas. They do have the Lightning Collection Rita. But they like the stuff that they don't have to worry too much about breaking. That's a little bit more simpler, and this stuff's perfect for that, and it looks great. This is made for kids, and they did a great job on these. I'll give credit where credit's due. These are awesome. So yeah, definitely get yourself these villains, especially if you're a collector. But if your kids want to play with something, this is the stuff right here that I think they will have the most fun for the longest amount of time. And then the Blade Blaster was pretty cool too. I'll have to mention that one. That is a pretty decent toy. Looks pretty decent, functions well. Don't like the Morpher. If you can get a different Morpher, if that's the only Morpher you can get, and they just want a Morpher to tear around with or whatever, sure, go ahead. But it's definitely one of the worst Morphers as far as Morphers go. I'm really looking forward to the Megazord. I'm really hoping it doesn't disappoint. That's going to be my next review video. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Hope the you know, you guys give me your opinion. How do you think the toy line's doing? What do you see for it? Do you think we're going to get the first 3 seasons and it's going to die because of sales and stuff like that? I'm kind of leaning towards that. I don't think they're going to see a big enough revenue from these first 3 seasons of toys, just in my opinion, because I think half of the stuff really isn't that good. But those are the villains. Let me know what you think about those as well. I can't recommend them enough. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I've talked long enough about it. I will be coming at you with the Megazord review video next. And until next time, everybody, I will see you next video.